Welcome back to the HEdDL podcast. I'm Dr. Rochelle Smarr, and this is season 2, Leading from the Margins to the Center. You're about to enter Voices from the Huddle, a special series within this season where we will pull up a chair with EdD holders, scholars, practitioners who are reimagining leadership within and beyond the university. These are colleagues that I deeply admire, people who are navigating complex, hyphenated journeys across all educational spectrums, their personal lives, and are really intentionally working beyond the academy. Each conversation you'll hear is a real dialogue, sometimes virtual, sometimes in person, centered on leadership practices, their identity, and multiple hyphens that we all carry. These aren't polished keynote speeches, so buckle up, Buttercup. They're honest, vulnerable conversations where we talk about what it means to lead from the margins to the center. I'm excited to welcome this multi-hyphenated leader to the conversation, so please join me for today's staff huddle. I welcome Dr. Monisha Rosby to the Hyphenated Leader podcast. And Dr. Rosby, do you mind introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about your hyphens that you identify with and what you're currently doing in educational leadership.
So my world of educational leadership is me being an associate principal at a high school in Houston area, in Texas. I serve as a wife, a mother, friend. I'm an entrepreneur, so a small business that me and my husband navigate in the Pearland area. And so all of the hats that women wear in our space to be able to just grow and develop and be a part of something greater. I enjoy being in the educational leadership space because my passion is to impact children and the lives within the community that I serve. So lots of hats, lots of things to do. Again, additional hats that I wear is been a part of organizations that stand behind the infrastructure of families and mothers building up children. So I'm a part of the Gulf Coast Brazoria County chapter of Jack and Jill of America and the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I am definitely busy, but it's all worth it.
Certainly busy. I love it. I love to see a woman on a mission with her hand in multiple things. And this is amazing. And I'm just already inspired. And I have questions. I want to know more.
Sure.
Tell us first a little more, because our podcast is Hyphenated Leader. Tell us about your educational doctorate. What program did you go to, and why did you choose the EdD over the PhD?
So I went to St. Thomas University and I did an online track. So after getting my master's degree from LeTourneau University in curriculum and instruction, I served in education as a biology teacher, and I love the curriculum side of things, but I saw that there was a deficit in representation in leadership. So I wanted to create an impact and a space for myself in the administrative piece so that I can be an advocate for children and be able to speak to their voices. I chose the EdD route because I wanted to navigate academia and be able to not necessarily be able to do the philosophical stuff, but I wanted to dive into the why of education. I wanted to be a part of the space where we can talk through the reasoning for academia, how it can transform lives and speak to leadership. That's so important. In academic spaces, leadership is the driving force behind how schools run, and it starts at the top. And so if you don't have that representation, if you don't have a viable leader who is able to take a school and the people in it to the places it needs to go, then it's going to be a sinking ship. And so I wanted to be in that space so that I can learn from top to bottom what I needed to do. And of course, life experiences also contribute to that. But I wanted to be in that space of academia. So the EdD route it was presented to me. And once I learned how I could navigate that and translate it into the world of education, I was definitely on board. And so St. Thomas University, they had an amazing program that allowed me to do my program online. I had an amazing dissertation chair who supported me. And it was on my own time as a wife, a mom, in organizations, working full time. I did not want to stifle myself on what I wanted to do, but still be able to propel in education, but also serving all my other capacities as well. So the program online, it worked for me. I did my master's online. And
Okay.
so doing a doctorate online was difficult because you don't have that face to face and you don't have the ability to talk to someone, but being able to put a face to a name just via Zoom calls or what have you, I was able to do that. And my dissertation chair was very warm and welcoming. And she lived in, I want to say, Baltimore. And so she gave me her personal phone number and was like, give me a call. So we would sit up on the phone at 11 o'clock at night crying. But she's
Yeah.
like, yes, so we need to work through these red marks that I gave you. So stop crying and let's get it done. So
That's a good chair.
it was. And so I was very thankful for her. And I now can contribute that back to the students that I serve, not only in education, but I serve as a professor at a couple of schools. And I do work with doctoral students. And so I'm able to be that voice for them as well because of those experiences that I had.
That's amazing. I'm so grateful to hear how you navigated and kind of leveraged the online school.
Yes.
I just know for
Mm-hmm.
me and maybe some others, like I just couldn't do it. But I started in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic and we were virtual to begin with. But
Yes.
I love how you've been able to kind of touch both the K through 12
Yes.
field as well as
Mm-hmm.
higher education. Can you tell me how you balance that role of being a school leader in multiple spaces and places while also making sure that you're able to mentor the next group of leaders as well?
So I don't even know if there is an opportunity to balance.
Maybe balance is not the
um,
right word. Rhythm. What's your
yeah,
rhythm in all of
yeah,
it?
the rhythm. So I call it the ebbs and flows, right? And
Mm,
so we have our ebbs, flows, our peaks and valleys, and just taking the passion that I have for K-12 and knowing that, at some point I'm going to phase out, but there are also people who are coming up to be the next leaders in education. Who is leading them? Are we going to leave it to those that aren't leading in the right direction? Or do we step up and we plant our feet to say, hey, I'm going to make sure that you get what you need to be successful so that you can lead children in the right way, so that you can lead this building in the direction it needs to go, because we have to create a pipeline of mentorship for people to be able to climb the ranks, because if we don't, we're going to lose people. We see it in education all the time.
yes.
People are leaving in bountiful numbers, and if we don't get a hold on it now to mentor people to do things the right way, um, with AI and all the things that are coming
Yes.
up, it's going to take over, because why wouldn't I have an opportunity to have a classroom with a robot or with a AI instructor, right? Because all the information is there. I don't have to pay them health insurance and all of the things, but it's that empathy and that human connection that is definitely needed. And so leading from the heart and leading out of love are truly important. And people need to know that. And so I try to keep those in the forefront and lead with those things. And so when I show up I have a class that's face to face. And so when I show up, I let them know, like, I'm here out of love and compassion because I want you to be great. I need you to be great. The kids
Right.
need you to be great. And I want to give you everything I got and connect you to my resources, connect you to the things that I did not have, and mentor you so that you can be amazing and have longevity in your career.
I love that. I think you're right. In the age of like AI, like so much could be automated and delegated, but that
Absolutely.
human centered of like care and trust and humanity, that
Mm-hmm.
can't be taught, or it can only be
Mm-hmm.
taught. It can't be bought. It
Yes,
can't be something that's isolated solo. Like it's in relationships that we
absolutely.
build that. And I love that you're pouring into the next pipeline of emerging school leaders. Can you tell me like
Absolutely.
what's been the greatest joy of becoming Dr. Rosby so far has been for you?
Um, so I would have to say the greatest joy for me in that is my family, for my husband and my children to say, Dr. Razi is my wife or my mom,
Yeah.
and people like, oh, your mom's a doctor. And, to me, it's just like, oh, it's just a thing. But to them, like, that's a highlight. And so, like, my sons, I have two teenagers, and they're like, man, put some respect on my mama name, so.
Yes.
And my husband, he's always like, no, like, people need to call you you Dr. Rosby. And I'm like, people don't have to call me that. But, it's one of those things that like my family is proud of, and I put in the work and I utilize that space in order to navigate just the important pieces in education. And so I can get into any room and I can talk to anyone
Mhm.
and I can be whoever I need to be in that moment. And so that gives me that opportunity to code switch between whatever space I'm in. And so if I'm in a K through 12 space, if I'm in a collegiate space, if I need to switch it up and speak in a conference, like whatever needs to happen, I can navigate multiple spaces and translate to anyone, because I have the opportunity to see what it looks like from all arenas.
Yes, exactly. Like I love a multi-talented leader. All the hyphens just bubbling up. But I know
All
it's a
of
proud
them.
moment when your family really wants people to like, no, that's doctor, like big doctor,
Yes,
like that. So
yes,
it's a
yes,
proud moment, but it's like, for me, like how do I balance humility, but also like, no,
yes,
you can call me doctor. And one of my
yeah,
name
and
tags is like she, her, doctor. If you have nothing else to
yes.
say, doctor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just tell people like I'm just a person like you. We all wake up the same and go to sleep the same. However, I know just as much. And so what we have to do is be able to remain humble. And that is one thing that I'm looking into navigating in academia is looking at, I know it's not a thing, but I want to make it a thing. So humble leadership. So how do you lead while being humble? When you know the things and you have the experience, but because of who you are, what you look like, the strikes against you being a Black female school
Yes.
leader, people don't think you know the things that you know, but you do.
Mhm.
But I also remain humble and say, hey, I just make things happen and my product speaks for itself. So just remembering to be humble in those moments and leading out of love. Like we get there because we work twice as hard, and I'm here and in this space because I deserve to be here, and the chair was designed specifically for me. So remembering
Yes.
those things in those moments.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So on the flip side of that, can you share a moment when you felt marginalized in your leadership and how did you navigate that?
Well, in these spaces, specifically being a woman of color, we get marginalized a lot, right? And so we just always have to remember that the spaces are not originally designed for us being Black and or female. We get to the point where we are pushed into a lot of spaces. And I had to take a step back to say, I cannot allow the superwoman mentality to drive my leadership because everything is okay and we are just enough until things have to happen and then people say you can handle it or they just give it to this person, she can do it. No, we're not doing that. So creating a space where we can have hard boundaries, we can show up to our workspace and we can be comfortable and we can transcend any guidelines and we can be just as strong of a leader as anybody else, no matter who they are and what they look like, because we all deserve to be here because we have the credentials, we have put in the work to be here. For me specifically, I enjoy motivating and encouraging other people to navigate their entire being. And so if I have teachers who I see on my campus or students that I say, hey, I see something in you, like you definitely should consider going into leadership. I'm going to feed that for them. So I start giving them small tasks. I start giving them leadership opportunities. I'm starting to get them in front of people because I need to be able to fill your cup. And in return, those people will do anything I ask them to do. And they are willing to support me. They're willing to show up for me. And I enjoy that part of leadership, just being able to navigate all of those spaces. When people need you to show up for them, they don't even know it sometimes,
Yeah.
but you show up in that moment and they're like, that's just what I needed. So being that person that shows up for them when they didn't know that they needed, and in return, they become that person that shows up for you when you need it. So just being a sounding board, a lifeline, and a leader that can just identify when people need people. And I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. I feel like in your response, you were leaning toward this idea of mentorship,
Yeah.
informal or formal mentorship. And
Mhm.
tell me more about how you value mentorship and why that shows up for you to want to pour into others for their own mentorship, whether they recognize you're doing it or not. Just out of curiosity, like what does mentorship look like for you, and what has it been for you that you're willing to do it for others?
So it started my very first year in education. I was a first year teacher, not out of education, but out of industry. So I was a biology major, and then I decided, hey, I'm gonna go be a teacher. So I got an alternative certification. So I showed up to my first teaching job, and I had two leaders that were absolutely amazing. And they basically, after a conversation, they were like, you are a strong leader. Like you have, all the things it takes in order to be successful. So I know this is your first year teaching, but we're going to make you department head and team lead. And here goes the textbook, be amazing. And I was like,
What a
wait,
vote of
what?
confidence.
What's happening right now? And so I actually just took it on. That's just my personality. And at the time, I was a single mother. I had two young children. My boys were 2 and 4.
Ooh.
And at the time, I was like, I have to make it happen. Like, it's no other way. I can't fail. Right.
Mhm.
And so I had to just restructure my mindset to say, okay, what are the things that need to be done in order to make it happen? And they were just like, we're going to mentor you. We're going to be there to support you. And they truly did that. And they stood behind me. They filled the gaps, and they will pull me in and just talk me through things. And even now, 10 years later down the line, I'm still in contact with them, working with
Good.
them. They're still mentoring me through certain things. And it's just been an amazing opportunity for me to see how the impact of mentorship can propel your career and increase longevity in education.
Mhm.
I worked for about 13 years with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, the Teacher Quality and Retention
Oh,
Program, as a mentor and curriculum facilitator. So, what we did in that program was we would take either pre-service teachers, so students who are about to graduate from college and wanted to be teachers, or they're in their first 3 years of their teaching career. And we provided super professional development, networking opportunities, created their teacher toolbox to go in to the classroom, specifically urban classrooms, and be successful. And a
good.
majority of our students from the program would end up going on to be teachers of the year or leading departments and
That's
all of these things
fantastic.
because we had those tools ingrained in them to
Hmm.
be successful. And so, just over time, seeing how mentorship impacted so many lives and created a space of success, it just really became my driving factor and passion in the world of education. So I've just been dedicated to that for the last maybe 12 years, just truly mentoring people and being a space where they can come, assisting them in navigating, who they are and what they want to be in education, and then finding the supports for them in that.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that you have had such a solid mentorship experience yourself, that you have a ton of tenants that you're actually pouring into other people who do or do not
Absolutely.
realize it. And I think it's so
Mhm.
valuable how far mentorship can take you. And it's
Mhm.
not so much just mentorship, there's also sponsorship, there's networking,
Yep.
but just the
Mhm.
groundwork of real, like authentic mentorship can really spur
Mhm.
someone's career along.
Absolutely.
In that same vein, you also mentioned that mentorship helped you. I wonder, did mentorship ever help you decide to pivot? Because you talked about going from industry to teaching to
Mhm.
becoming a school teacher. And then you also mentioned at the start that you and your husband have a business, but you're also
Mhm.
involved with your sorority. So were those
Mhm.
pivots at any point, or are they just tangents in your kind of educational journey?
I would say just tangents. I feel like I still have a long way to go in the world of education, but I also enjoy feeding my passions. Small business and entrepreneurship is one of my love languages, and so
Okay.
just seeing other people thrive through anything it is that they love to do. I work in a small business community, and the founder utilizes my me and my husband's business to navigate other business owners in our community to come together so that we can patronize businesses, to help them create a framework for success, and just being able to identify just what those passions are. Because, I mean, in this economy right now, everybody needs a side hustle, right? So, being able to identify what you can do with your strengths already instead of having to go do something else. And granted, some people just have the art of creativity, or they can go be a photographer or whatnot. Those are not my strengths. And so, I utilize what I have, and that's professional development, that is growing people in mentorship. So my consulting agency works with people to identify those strengths and those skill sets so that we can build upon those so that people can grow their wealth. And my husband, he works on tech projects and anything else that he comes up with in his space of policing and executive security and all of those things. And so we just definitely want to be leaders in that arena so that we can show people you don't have to be put in a box to just do a thing. You can do all things.
Right. I think that's where you have to see the value in all your hyphens, that you can do many
Absolutely.
things, right? Like you're not
Yes.
limited to the one career. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, because I wonder if our parents, because they may or may not be boomers or Gen Xers, have been so loyal to so many careers
Yes.
that it's a
Mm-hmm.
shock when they're like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, what more can I get my hand in? So
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Do you mind sharing a little more about your coaching business? And do you coach women of color or specific people? Like, where did that kind of come from, and where did that dream come from, and how are you leveraging it?
So I am open to coaching anyone. I just enjoy talking to people and identifying who they want to become and what they want to put in place to drive their own personal goals. And so sometimes people don't even realize that the things that they like to do on a daily basis are a gold mine. I spoke to one young lady not too long ago. She got my information from someone because a lot of my business is word of mouth. I don't have the time to do all the marketing and advertising. So it was just word of mouth. My information was passed over to her, and she was just explaining to me what she could do. She was like, I'll put something together for you. And this is what I used to do. And I was like, girl, this is a gold mine. Like, you can literally put this together for people and sell a template, and you can charge like X amount of dollars. And she was like, I never even thought about that. So, just talking to people, you would be surprised how much information you can get from them. I used to do resume development and all those things, and I found that I was not as passionate about that just because of the time that it took. But I do enjoy assist people in building their own businesses. I even did a study with my husband before he started his business. I was just talking to him about what he's passionate about and what he likes to do. And so he actually developed what's called the Rosby Glove, and it is a tech project that he had been working on for a heated football glove that will be coming soon. So we're excited about that. But just talking through the business side of it, he was like, oh, that's very interesting. And, we just kind of developed it from there and went on to pursue different things. But we just had to sit back and say, what is it that we want to focus on? And that
Mhm.
was his passion, right? And so merging the world of football and technology. So just thinking through like how I can assist and motivate and encourage people. I enjoy being in the space of education. And so I am working on something else that will assist people in identifying how they can get into the world of academia, because a lot of people don't even know that they can be a college professor, whether it's at a community college, a technical college, or a university based on the experience that they have. And so I've been working with a lot of clients on finding their space in the world of collegiate academia as well.
I might have to take you up on that, because not
Yes.
having a master's degree in a specific subject has kind of tripped me
Mhm.
up, but I know it's
Yes,
possible. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to encourage people and help them see what skills they already have and what might be a gold mine for success or for them to leverage in some
absolutely.
fashion. So I think that's
Hmm.
awesome. We know each other through the Black
Hmm.
Women's Educational Leadership forthcoming book. Can you share a little bit about what's going to be in your chapter that we should look forward to reading?
So, in my chapter, I talk through leading with grit and grace. So, what are those experiences that you've had as a woman, regardless of what you look like? Just being a woman, what has contributed to your success as an individual? What were those driving factors, those components that really just pushed you? I talk about early in my career how my children were my driving factor. Being a single mother, there was no option to fail. I had to make it happen, right? And
Mhm.
so once my husband came into my life and, we developed our family foundation, I was able to push myself along and be able to navigate different spaces. I was able to go back to school and I was
Yeah.
about to, start businesses, but I couldn't because I was a single mother in finances and all the things. But once he came in and was able to contribute to and benefit to my life, I was able to say, okay, I can sit down and breathe a little bit and I can start all the things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do before. And then once I get into the educational space, who am I? How do I transcend from being a single mother, survival mode, into an empathetic leader who's here to support and be representative for all people? And that really just drove who I wanted to be as a leader. And in the chapter, I talk about mentorship. I talk about the importance of having opportunities for people to grow and develop to be able to get to the next level. It's so important. And at the end of the day, we're all just people and we're all trying to get to the next level.
Right.
And we have to create those spaces so that we can put the next foot forward for the next generation.
Exactly. I love that. I look forward to reading your chapter because I have a
Thank
similar
you.
title, but I look forward
Yeah.
to reading your chapter. I know I'm going to be writing in the margins, like trying to take notes, like what can I
Oh,
do
yeah.
differently as a leader? Um,
Absolutely.
what is some advice you would give to some emerging multi-hyphenated leaders who are just now getting their degree or finishing up their degree and are curious, like I've got all these
Mhm.
opportunities. What's a piece of advice you would want them to walk away with from our conversation together?
Just take your time and breathe. It feels like you don't have a lot of time, but you do. And at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
I was in a space where, I was doing too many things and, it becomes overwhelming and you're exhausted, but you have to take a breath to say what no longer serves me. What
Mm.
can I get rid of? How can I centralize myself to focus on the things that are important and the things that matter? And everything else can be secondary. And just think through what your passions are and what your goals are. And if you want to accomplish it, it's amazing and let's do it. But if it doesn't happen, it's okay. And you can pivot because life is about being adaptable and flexible.
Exactly. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you, Dr. Rosby, for this wonderful conversation and just all the gems and
Yeah.
tidbits and pieces of advice you gave us. And I'm just curious to see what this mentorship journey and your chapter is going to look like. So thank you so
Yes,
much
I'm
for sharing your
excited.
story.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you for joining us in the huddle today. I hope this conversation gave you something to reflect on, whether it's a new way of thinking about your hyphens, a leadership practice you want to try, or simply a reminder that you're not alone in this work. If this episode resonated with you, share with another multi-hyphenated leader in education, invite them to the next staff huddle. Drop a comment, share a story, or send a topic you'd love to hear more about on either my LinkedIn page or on Substack. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Rochelle Smarr or join me on Substack at Hyphenated Leader, where I'm sharing more stories, frameworks, and resources from our conversation with the guest speakers from this series, Voices from the Huddle, that are leading into the season 2 theme of leading from the margins to the center. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps other hyphenated leaders find us and join us in the huddle conversation. Please know that Voices from the Huddle is an evolving and curated space, and I'm always open to new voices. So if you are a hyphenated leader yourself or you would like to nominate someone whose perspective belongs in this very huddle, I welcome the opportunity to learn more from your story and be able to share it with the community. So be sure to email me, connect with me through a DM on LinkedIn or a message through the Substack. I'm happy to begin to build the community to recognize and elevate more voices of hyphenated leaders. Let's normalize talking about our experiences, let's support each other, and really build up this hyphenated leader community. So until our next staff huddle, be sure that you continue to lead authentically, keep embracing every hyphen, and have fun. as well. So this is the HyphenatEdDLeader podcast, and I am Dr. Smar. I will see you at the next staff huddle.